Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I apologize if this format is not necessarily in the standard format in which you view my videos, but this is a bit of a quickie one because frankly, I'm obsessed with the Winter Nights Lazo teaser that we got from Genshin Impact as of this recording just the other day. So I kind of wanted to walk through it and talk about it a little bit more because I think it's actually showing something that not a lot of people are aware of. There's some hidden meaning that actually spoke to me in a sense that Signora is not actually gone. She's just kind of been temporarily suspended. And I can literally hear echoes of you yelling copium in my head, because you might look at this trailer and say, well, disagree, Signora's super dead, in fact. But I don't think that she is. So I kind of wanted to walk through it a bit and we can maybe kind of talk about it. We all know that it opens on these flamey crystal fly guys that are either a part of or representative of the Crimson Witch, and who is Signora, by the way. Spoilers, I guess, if you didn't know that, if you haven't gotten to that boss fight yet, but I'm fairly certain that you have. So there's two pawns here which are removed from play. It's very obvious that they are pointing to these pawns, these two pieces, being removed from the board, being removed from play. They're probably representative of something, but that's not necessarily super important. Okay? What is important is this next portion here. The numero uno fetus here is playing a game of chess, and an enemy knight actually knocks down one of his pawns. And it's kind of interesting symbolism, because this next portion here is very clearly indicating that that pawn is representative of Signora. And before Captain Fetus here can go ahead and remove that pawn from play, the Crimson Witch fly prevents him from picking up the piece, and instead hovers over the piece, and he doesn't remove it from the board. As if to say that the pawn is not necessarily removed from play entirely yet. Kind of some interesting symbolism. And along with that, if you were going to represent Raiden Shogun based on her backstory and who she actually is and who A is and all that, a knight seems fairly appropriate, I think. So this is clearly some sort of representative of Signora. And they're, for whatever reason, I don't know why they're choosing to represent it in some sort of odd, shall we say, Kingdom Hearts style game of chess. But you know, it's all good. I too enjoy a nice game of chess. There's also this next portion that more or less just kind of introduces all of the Fatui. He's the mayor, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. He's the new heartthrob, I think, as well. But none of this is really that important, right? It's just this was a very hype moment because it introduced a bunch of characters all at once that everybody was really interested in. And the dialogue that they are speaking about, as I'm sure you know, is more or less kind of giving contextual substance to the speaker's character, while the dialogue that they're spewing is also giving context to others in the room, right? And so that's kind of why it was a hype moment for everybody. And while it does provide a lot of context, it doesn't really help to inform what has actually happened to Signora. They say that she's been sacrificed. So, in that sense, I guess you would say that's a pretty clear indication that Signora's actually super dead. But after talking about Scaramouche, an interesting thing happens, and I'll put on captions for this. The numero uno fetus, who was playing a game of solo chess with the fly and all that, what we just came from, he says it's time to end tonight's foolish theatrics. There's no captive audience right now. as if to say they're joining and paying respects to Signora, and it's just theatrics, right? That's kind of what I gathered. Now, you could say that theatrics were, you know, just the back and forth commentary between the characters, but I don't really think that's like a thing. I genuinely think that this whole ceremony is a bit of a farce. I think they're planning something else, and what we'll put captions back on because I feel like this is probably important. I think that what they're talking about here is that the theatrics is pretending that Signora's actually dead. I don't think that she is. Although they do go back and talk later about how she's, you know, stuck in layer upon layer of ice, which is interesting for several reasons. If you recall, the fight with Signora, right? After you go through her phase 1, she ends up being in this kind of frozen chrysalis, if you will, which, you know, very, very obvious play on butterflies and whatnot. And then afterwards, the little crimson fly guys break her out, and she becomes the Crimson Witch again, or the Crimson Witch of Ember instead of Flame. Either way, same person, right? That's not really anything different. I just think it's kind of an interesting parallel to draw there, that as they're going through talking about this, Signora's being encapsulated in a coffin upon layer of ice, which is what's actually spoken in the dialogue here. So it's almost as if she's in another frozen chrysalis, right? It's all very symbolic of the Signora fight. So it's almost like she's just sleeping. And it's interesting that the final resting place will be the old world. The world pre-Cataclysm, perhaps. There's a whole backstory with Signora and how she eventually came to be the Crimson Witch of Flame. It's a whole thing. But basically, spoilers, I guess, if you don't want them spoiled, it's not really anything that important. She had a lover who basically died in the Cataclysm. If you didn't know, Signora Rosalind was actually from Mondstadt. She went to study in Sumeru, and then she became the Crimson Witch of Flame after her lover died, and she used some sort of like lost to time magic and became that. She actually replaced her body, in fact. She gave up her physical body, and her veins flowed with eternal flame or something along those lines. But the point is that she doesn't have a physical body. That's the important part that I'm trying to get across here. And much like in the Signora fight, these little fly guys come, burn up, and melt the chrysalis that give birth to her. And it's just kind of an interesting parallel, right? And additionally, when Signora is actually like, you know, done in, she's not actually done in. Like, we just see her kind of turn to embers, right? Which is a different manner in which we've seen any kind of death in Genshin Impact. So I think this trailer is actually oddly reminiscent of the whole Phase 1, Phase 2 Signora fight. And I think what's going to happen is, now that she doesn't have the thing imputing her crimson powers, right? The ice delusion. I think she is going to be reborn as the Crimson Witch of Flame again. And I think that's maybe how she will actually be playable, which might be interesting. Now, I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, right? And again, this could all be copium. But there's a lot of interesting symbolism that's happening here. It's just kind of odd. And additionally, as you go through and end out this trailer, which, there's definitely more, where they're talking about Dottore, right? The doctor. I'm thinking he's going to, or assuming rather, that he's going to be the next big bad in Sumeru, right? this is some kind of like world tree nonsense that's happening over here. All right. And we end up seeing that after that, Kalei, she's here. In Sumeru, right? Which is where Signora studied. And now there's this big old tree that's on fire. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what that's about. So somehow this is all connected, and we literally just got a crash course in the Cataclysm, right? With all of the stuff in the chasm. We learned all about this. So I think this is all kind of coming together somehow. I will probably hear about Scaramouche at some point, maybe. There was an Inazuma festival that kind of helped give some backstory to him a bit. But I think as we start to look more towards Sumeru, this story of Signora and the Crimson Witch and all of that, I think will start to have more meaning. But it's just an assumption on my part. I have literally nothing to back this up. Okay, but I do think it's very convenient that the symbolism they used, as I said, did heavily represent the phases of Signora. So, just some thought, just something I wanted to throw together to see if I'm copium or if I am just so conspiracy hype that I should just stop talking. But anyway, that's all I wanted to share. I think it's interesting. I am very excited to see what Sumeru and 3.0 allegedly has to offer us. Genshin Impact is finally giving us tastes here and there, just 6 weeks at a time. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, let me know what you think about all the Fatui and the symbolism and all of the things in the comments down below. I appreciate you watching and sticking around and just hearing me theorize about all of this nonsense. But that's all I got for you right now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring a bell for extra bonus points if you so choose. Thanks again, and until then, I will catch you next time.